Hey guys, and welcome back to my little chatty corner here. So today I wanted to do another kind of lifestyle-ish video and talk about some of my favorite books. So I love to read. It's one of the other things that I love to do other than put makeup on my face and review makeup. So I kind of wanted to chat with you guys about some of my favorite books, some of my favorite authors, what I'm reading currently. So yeah, if this is something that interests you, I hope that you enjoy this video. If you're not someone who likes to read, then I'm sorry, and I will see you in Monday's video. But I just wanted to do something a little bit different for these Friday videos. So we're focused mostly on lifestyle stuffs, maybe some fashion. But if you guys have any requests for like lifestyle or fashion videos, definitely let me know in the comments because I'm running out of ideas. But I thought this would be a fun one. Also, if you guys have any books that you're currently reading or have read that you think I would enjoy, definitely leave those in the comments as well because I read so much. I'm always looking for something. Lyn loves to read as well, so maybe I'll have her do a post about some of her favorite reads, although some of the ones we do have are very similar because when she reads a good book, she'll pass it along to me, and then when I read a good book, I'll pass it along to her. But yeah, so definitely let us know if you guys have any suggestions, but we're gonna dive on in. So the first genre of book that I love to read is like mystery kind of, more thriller based books. I think I get that from my mom. My mom really likes like reading FBI books. I can't really get so much into those, but I do like a good thriller mystery every once in a while. And two of my favorite authors actually are, well, the first one is Miranda. She's kind of a new author. The first book that she wrote is called All the Missing Girls, which is the first book that I read from her, and it is incredible. It's so good. The main character is this woman who goes home after her father dies, and she's home with her brother, and all these mysterious things keep happening, and there is a secret in her past from when they were in high school that keeps coming back to kind of haunt her. And throughout the book you kind of learn what that secret is, and you learn the cover-up of it and how people were all involved in it. So it's really interesting, and at the end it's one of those books where you love her and then you find out what happens and you're like, ooh, and then at the end you love her again. So it just kind of puts you in this whirlwind. But that's one of my favorites. I actually don't have that book because I lent it to a friend. But the second Miranda book that I read, and this is a newer one, this is called The Perfect Stranger. This is another amazing one. I love the way she writes. I think she's really talented. It's just the type of writing that I enjoy. It's fast-paced, but it's not, they don't tell you everything too quickly. It still leaves you guessing. So I like a nice fast-paced book. I don't love when things are really slow and it takes a while to get into it because I get bored. So I like something fast-paced, but I like it to keep me guessing. So it's kind of rough for me because it's very opposite. I feel like though you don't find books that are fast-paced but keep you guessing. So, you know. But this one is also good as well. So this is about a woman who, she is a reporter, and she gets fired from her job because of some inappropriate things that she writes. So her life is kind of in turmoil when she gets fired from her job, and her and a friend that she recently reconnects with decide to leave the city and move to a small town. And then when they move there, the roommate goes missing, and the friend is not sure what to do, and it's kind of all about her finding out what her roommate friend is really all about, and there's a lot of mystery behind her. So that is very interesting. It's kind of takes a look at how well do you really know the people in your life, and it was kind of a little scary too, but this was another great one. I really enjoyed it. So this is more of like a suspense book. They definitely keep you waiting to know the answers, and around every corner you think a question is going to get answered, and then it takes a little bit longer and you're like, oh, I need to know. So those are the kind of books that I enjoy. So that one's definitely, this one is definitely like that, but I really like this. I can't decide which book I enjoy better. I think between All the Missing Girls and The Perfect Stranger, I think this storyline is definitely more intriguing because it's so unique. It's very different. But All the Missing Girls is really good too because it's just, I don't know, they both really make you think. So I really like both of them from her. I'm excited to see what else she comes out with. I think these are the only two books. She does have some young adult novels apparently that I did not know. So I'm definitely gonna have to check those out. But these are the two adult, I guess, novels. I don't understand the whole adult, young adult thing. They're books. I like to read everything, so. But she actually is from New Jersey, which is exciting because I'm from New Jersey, obviously, so that's cool. And she lives in North Carolina, which is where I went to college, so wow, that's crazy. I actually have never read the back page kind of about the author, but So yeah, I really love these books. They're really great. So definitely check them out if you like more of a suspense novel or thriller novel. And then the next suspense writer that I really enjoy is her name is Kubica? I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but she writes amazing as well. It's kind of along the same line as Miranda. They're very suspenseful, but they're very fast-paced, and they definitely keep you wanting to turn the page. You want to know what happens. You have to know. And this book, this is a new book from her. This is called Every Last Lie, which I actually have not read yet. But the two books that I have read, The Good Girl and Don't You Cry, are some of my all-time favorite books. I actually don't have them because I think I lent one of them to Lyn, and one of them I think got boxed up in the basement and I could not find it anywhere. But The Good Girl is definitely my all-time, sorry, my phone keeps going off. The Good Girl is definitely my all-time favorite book by her. It's so suspenseful throughout the entire book, and then even the last page, the ending, the very ending, you're like, wait, what? Like, I don't even know how to describe it without like ruining it for you guys, but it's such a good story. There is a little bit of a love interest kind of going on, but it's basically about this girl who she gets kidnapped, and she comes home and they find her, and you're kind of stuck between the then and the now. So you're reliving her kidnapping and what happened, and then you're also living the now, when she's home with her parents and she doesn't really know what to do with her life, and she's really confused about everything. So it's definitely very interesting, and you think that the whole time that, wow, like, this is horrible what happens to her, but at the end you kind of learn the truth, and it was mind-blowing. Like, it was the best ending to a book I have ever read. I was so caught off guard. I was like, wait, what? It took me, I had to reread the last few pages again because I was like, wait a second. It's just a really good book. And then, so then Don't You Cry is kind of along the same lines as The Perfect Stranger. These two girls are roommates, and the one disappears and the other roommate is kind of left trying to find where she is. That's where the similarities kind of end though, because the story after that kind of unravels, and it's a little bit darker. Both of her books are a little bit darker, but I really like them. But they're very interesting. She has a very interesting point of view, I feel like, and they're very unique in stories. So Don't You Cry is also another great one. I definitely think I like The Good Girl a little bit more. I think the storyline, I just enjoyed it a little bit more, but Don't You Cry was exceptional as well. At the ending, I wasn't left as much as oh my god as I was in The Good Girl, so I guess that's why I kind of prefer The Good Girl. But Don't You Cry is also amazing. I will leave all of these linked below if you guys are interested. But then Every Last Lie, I'm actually really excited to read. Let's see what this one's about. So it's about a young woman whose husband and small daughter are killed in a car crash. It's ruled an accident, but then she starts having nightmares, and she starts thinking that maybe it wasn't an accident. So that's kind of interesting. So she's kind of trying to figure out the truth about what happened to her husband and daughter. So again, still on the same kind of page. They're kind of dark, kind of mysterious. So I'm really excited to read this one. This is actually the next book I'm going to read. Currently reading something right now, which I'll share in a second. So, okay, so mystery books are kind of my first genre, and then the next genre that I really prefer is kind of historical fiction. So I really like kind of the past. I love reading about World War II, which are these two books that I'm going to talk about right now. But really any historical fiction I really enjoy. I kind of like seeing a more personal spin on stuff we learned in history class. I don't know, really into that. My dad is actually a history buff as well. He's really into the Civil War. So I think that's where I get it from. But yeah, so we're going to talk about those books now. And the first one is by Anthony Doerr, and it's called All the Light We Cannot See. So this actually won a Pulitzer Prize. It's definitely more sophisticated, I would say, than my mystery books. It's a very long book. It's very detailed. But for history books, I kind of like that. I kind of like that slow story that gives you a lot of information. So this is about a young girl who lives in Paris during World War II. She is blind, and she's kind of seeing her life, not really actually seeing her life, but feeling the changes of World War II, and she loses her father, and so she's just kind of about living in Paris during that time and kind of what she had to overcome, not only just because of the war, but because she was blind and disabled, and it's kind of about her life throughout that, and then after as well. She does live, they tell you that in the beginning it kind of starts with her older in life, and she's kind of looking back on this, so you know that I don't ruin anything, but I just thought it was really interesting seeing the war from like a child's point of view, because she grew up obviously during this time, and I wish he was an exceptional writer. I want to find more books from him. I actually haven't done that much research yet, but this book blew me away. This book really brings you kind of all over the place. There are parts of it where you just feel so devastated for this young girl, and then there are parts where people go out of their way to really help her and see her survive, and you're just so filled with like hope, and it's a really amazing book. I really enjoyed this. It's actually one of the books that I keep in my room just in case I ever want to read it again. I'm normally not someone who rereads books all that often because I read so much. I'm so always looking for a new thing, a new book, but this is definitely one of those ones that I feel like the more you read it, the more you're gonna learn. So I really enjoyed this. And then the second book in my historical fiction genre is actually another book about World War II. Again, it's one of my favorite times to read about. I just think it's really interesting. And this is called The Nightingale. It's by Kristen Hanna. And this is about two young women, actually. They're sisters. And this, again, is kind of them growing up and living through World War II. And the one woman is actually, she joins a mission in Paris to help downed like fighter pilots from the Allied side and get them safely back home. So she kind of helps get them out of Paris and away from the Nazis. So I thought that was really, it's very based around this strong female character. So I really loved reading this. I loved seeing that female side of it. There obviously were women who joined the resistance during this time, and I just think it's really cool to get to see that side of it. I don't really think you learn too much about that in school or really anywhere unless you go looking for it. So I was really inspired by this book. I had a lot of family members, older family members, my mom's uncles who actually fought in World War II, so I guess that's why I'm so intrigued by it, because I do have family members who lived through that and who'd seen it firsthand. So I really enjoyed this book as well. Again, it's another book that I find myself wanting to reread. I want to keep sharing it, and I want to share it with people because I just loved it that much. So these two books are obviously a little bit heavier than my murder mystery kind of books, but I do like them as well. That's my two sides. I'll read like a very heavy book and then I have to go and like read something fast and be like, oh, I need something to be like solved and be happy at the end. Although sometimes these books aren't even happy at the end, so I don't know what I'm saying. But moving on. So the two books that I'm reading right now, I like to have two books on hand because the first book that I'm going to talk to you about is a really long series. The books are very long, the series is very long, so sometimes I get stuck in them and I need something lighter, faster to read in between. So the first series I'm going to talk about is, this is Diana Gabaldon. This is the Outlander series. This is like the fifth book, I think, A Breath of Snow and Ashes. But the first book is called Outlander. They just made a TV show of this on Starz. It is about a woman from the 1940s, just after World War II. She was a nurse in World War II. And her husband go to Scotland. And while she's there, she time travels. There's this old Scottish folklore that the standing stones, you can travel through time in them. So that happens to her and she ends up in the Scottish Highlands in the 1700s, it's like 1740s, during the Scottish Uprising, which I think was really cool to learn about, because here in the States we don't really learn a lot about European history past World War I and World War II. Like, we don't learn anything other really than that. I was really always interested in European history, and it's really cool getting to learn about this particular event because Scotland is always a place that I want to visit. So this is all about the Scottish Uprising. This is the second one. If you've ever seen the movie Braveheart, that's about the first uprising. So basically the Scots, so England is Protestant, Scotland is Catholic, and they kind of just fight about that. That's basically what it comes down to. And so it was really interesting getting to see that side of history and getting to see the Highland culture and kind of learn about it through these books. She writes everything very historically accurate, so it takes her about 10 years to write a book because there's so much detail, there's so much information kind of given to you. So it's very interesting. I love the way she writes. These books are incredible. If you're not someone who loves reading really long books, I would definitely recommend to check out the show. Starz did an amazing job casting, filming, everything looks the way you would picture it in your head. A lot of times when I read a book and I love it, I don't really love watching the movie because I have the idea of characters and I have the idea of these places and I want to stick to that, but Starz did such an amazing job casting Claire and Jamie. Those were the main characters that I was like, alright, I need to watch this show. and I love the show just as much as I love the books, which normally is not something I say, so I definitely recommend either, but these books are amazing. They are really long, like I said, so I do need something a little bit more lighthearted in between when I take breaks. Especially this book they're happy, so it's going kind of slowly because there's no action or anything, which is really sad to say, but so I did just take a break from reading this, and I picked up this book at Costco, and this is called The Immortalists by Chloe Benjamin. I had never seen this before. I'd never heard anything about it. I saw it at Costco, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I was really intrigued by this cover. I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but I did, and I read the inside flap, and I thought it was really interesting. So it's about New York City in the Lower East Side in 1969. That's how it starts, and it's about these four siblings who they go and see a mysterious, like, she's a traveling psychic. She's like a fortune teller, and they go and see her, and she all tells them when they're going to die. That's her thing. She tells people how much time they have on Earth, but she tells them each in their own like time, like they're all words. So she tells them each individually. So, and she tells them you're not allowed to tell anybody, or I don't know, bad things will happen. I don't really know. But so none of the other siblings know when the other one's going to pass. So they're all kind of holding this weight. And obviously some more than others, because the oldest sibling shares with us, it's from her point of view, so she shares with us that she's not going to die until she's 80 something. So her fortune was, you know, not bad, but all the other siblings, you can tell that obviously they didn't get news that was enlightening or happy for them. So it's kind of all about, I haven't gotten too far into it actually. I just started reading this, but so far it's really incredible. I can't wait to finish it and tell you guys how I think about the rest of the story, but so far it's been really intriguing. It's a very interesting concept, I guess, knowing when you're going to pass on. But I think the most interesting part about the book is all the siblings are so different. They grew up, when you first meet them, they are so close and they're so similar, and then now that you see them and they're a little bit older, where we are now in the book, they're also different. So I'm interested to see how the story kind of concludes and how I assume it'll bring them back together, and so I'm kind of interested to see that. But yeah, so those are kind of some of my favorite books, some that I've loved for a while and some new ones that I've just found. But let me know if you guys check out any of these books and what you guys think about them, and like I said, definitely give me some recommendations. I love to read, so any recommendations are welcome. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel. And yeah, so that was all I had for you guys today. So I will see you in our next video. Bye guys!